Hi everyone, it's TheTidesChanging here, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. Today I'm making a cabin that I've named Hemlock Haven, and this is the first build that I've done in Granite Falls, the world that came with the Outdoor Retreat game pack. I really love how this cabin turned out, and it might actually be my favorite build that I've done in The Sims 4 so far, or at least one of my favorites, but I just really love how it turned out. And I'm actually planning on using this cabin in my Outdoor Retreat Let's Play, starting with part 7. So for the remainder of the Let's Play, they will be in this cabin here, so I'm really excited to use it in action because I just had so much fun building it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. But the inspiration for this cabin came from just looking at pictures of other cabins, because I was trying to give it a very realistic luxury cabin kind of a look. So this cabin, as you can see, is pretty big. It's 2 floors and it has 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms, so plenty of space for a large family. It sleeps, I believe, 8 Sims, so you can sleep a whole full household of Sims in this place. It also features a 2-floor great room that looks out towards the lake, so you get some really beautiful views from that, and I just really love how that looks as well. Probably my favorite part of the whole house. I just really like how the whole common area of it looks. But right now I'm working on putting in the roofing, so this house does have a very large front deck. It also has a lot of deck space out back, because I wanted this house to have a lot of focus on the outdoors, like with a lot of deck space and also with a lot of windows looking out back towards the lake. This cabin took me about 6 hours to build in total, which isn't too bad, I guess, considering its size. I think 2 hours of that was spent on the exterior, and then 4 hours of that was spent on the interior, so the interior of this place took me about twice as long to do as the exterior, but that's because I just really focused on details with the interior. Like, I was just trying to make it as detailed as possible, and was experimenting with the new items that came with the game pack, and just really trying to keep to the theme of a cabin. And I did have a lot of fun with the furnishing though. Like, I really enjoyed getting to use all the items and try them out, you know, and create themed rooms with them. The overall look that I was trying to give this place was rustic yet luxurious, so I just used a lot of woods everywhere, but then of course included modern amenities like TVs and a nice kitchen and all of that. But at this point with the exterior, I'm trying to work on doing the railings and the stairs and the trim and all of that on the deck. So I was going to use spandrels, but then I just didn't really like how any of the spandrels looked. So then I was trying to get the roof trim to match the trim that I put over the deck there. But unfortunately, most of the brown trims don't really match each other. Like, I actually don't think there's any brown trims that really match, or at least not the kind of brown that I wanted, but I found those two that actually matched fairly closely. And then I used the larger log wallpaper that came with the game pack over most of the exterior, and then I used the vertical siding on the second floor except for where the 2-floor great room area is, so I kept that as a log. And I really like how they looked, like using the different wallpapers. I like that separation that it gave between the first and second level. And then I did replace the stairs with those more floating stairs? I don't think floating stairs is the right term, but the more modern kind of stairs that aren't solid, because I noticed that those are used on other cabins in this world. And then I did go back to trying to match the different trims, and then I just ended up leaving it at that, which doesn't perfectly match, but it still matches pretty decently. And now moving on to putting in the windows and doors. So like with the inn that I'm making in my Let's Build a Rustic Inn series, I used a lot of the Mediterranean kind of windows just because I feel like they really worked perfectly for this kind of a build. Like, they just had a really good look for cabins. And then right now I'm doing the interior floor plan. So the big open area is the, common area of the place, and then upstairs is 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and there is a master bedroom downstairs as well. But there is also another master bedroom upstairs, and I had some issues with trying to get the open area to work. Like not having the roof pop in, which is kind of an annoying thing about trying to do the 2-floor open areas, but I was determined to make it work, and I eventually did by tweaking the roofing some. It was just really frustrating because I had to put a wall behind the staircase or else the roof came through, like when I tried, when I just had it all open. So I wasn't planning on having another room, like the room right there in the very front next to where the stairs are. That was supposed to be all open, but I had to put a room in so that the roofs wouldn't show through. But yeah, I did get the whole open thing to look to work without a bunch of roofs popping through. And then I did also put some of those flower boxes underneath of the windows, just because I really like how that looks, and I think it tied in with the whole kind of nature theme that the house has. I also put some trim in that area between the second and first floor where there's no roof to separate it, just so it gives a little bit of separation between the two different kinds of wallpaper. I really like that you can do that with a trim in The Sims 4. And right there I put in a chimney because there will be a fireplace in the dining room. Which is the area that's, behind those two French doors. And then I'm moving over to the other side of the house, put some more windows in there with some flower boxes below them. And the nice thing about the flower boxes is that with the short windows that I used, it can give them the illusion of being a little bit bigger than they are, because I put it right at the very bottom of the window, which just, like I said, just makes the windows seem like they're bigger than they are. So that's a little trick that works very well, if you're using those windows and you want to give the illusion of them being larger than they are. I'm also putting another deck over on this side of the house, and that is where the master bedroom will be, or at least the main master bedroom. Like I said, there's two, but the master bedroom on the second floor has a much smaller bathroom than the one on the first floor does. Like, the one on the first floor has a huge bathroom, and then it has its own deck access, so it's definitely a nicer bedroom. And right here I'm putting in the windows for what will be the 2-floor great room, which I really like how I arranged the windows there. I did the exact same way in the inn because I liked it so much. Like, it just works really well and looks really nice. And then I'm going back to adjusting the windows some. I also put another chimney in there because there will be a fireplace in the great room as well. So this house has two fireplaces pretty close to each other, but since this is a cabin, I felt like it is something that would have a lot of fireplaces. And then I did change that one window over on the far left side of the house to be a door, because I feel like a door would look a little bit better, then you get access to that deck from another area of the house. And then I did find that the terrain paint, because I was trying to blend the terrain paint in with what was partially on the lot, and I found that that terrain paint is a mix of the reddish dirt terrain paint and the gravel terrain paint that came with the Outdoor Retreat game pack. In case any of you are wondering, so I just put down the red terrain paint first and then just put some of the gray paint over it, and then it pretty much matched. It took me a little bit to figure that out. Like, I had to mess around different terrain paints a bit to realize it was that. And then I also added a bunch of flowers in front of the house, and I used a lot of the plants that came with the Outdoor Retreat game pack. Like, I was excited to have new plants, so I think all the trees that I used on this house came from that game pack. Most of the plants did as well. And I just gave this house a very natural kind of a look overall as far as the gardening goes. Like, I didn't want it to look heavily landscaped. I wanted to look non-symmetrical, kind of unkempt a little bit. Natural landscaping like this is definitely my strength when it comes to doing gardens in The Sims 4. I just feel like I'm a lot better at it, and I kind of like how it looks more too. Like, there's something about overly manicured and perfectly landscaped yards that I don't like. I just much prefer the look of plants that kind of grew on their own, and like a variety of different plants as well. And that's definitely the look I felt was more suited for this kind of a place. And right here I'm going and putting some more flowers around this big tree right here. I was trying to follow some of how the landscaping was done around this house, like in the world and on other lots itself, because I was trying to make it look like this house fit in with the other houses in the land around it. So I tried to keep with the landscaping theme of the area surrounding the house. And then I also put in a nice little bench right there, because I thought it'd be nice to have a bench right at the front of the path. And then I also put some more plants towards the front of the lot as well. I was trying to not fill in a lot with landscaping though, because I didn't want it to look too busy. So I actually left more open space in the yard of this house than I normally would, because I wanted to give a lot of space for kids to run around outdoors and stuff like that. And then I did switch the bench to that log one because I thought it would look a little bit better in there than that one. And then I did make a path right here going around from the front of the yard to the back of the house, just because I wasn't sure. I feel like there needed to be something else there in that area where there wasn't any plants, so I thought making a subtle stone path would look nice. And then I just had to go all the way around the back so that it would meet in front of the deck that will be off the master bedroom. And here I'm kind of making the garden area in the front of the house look a little bit sparser, because I felt like it was a little bit too busy with all the different kinds of plants and all the different colors. So I was trying to thin it out a little bit, and then I also put in another larger tree in the back corner there. And I'm just trying to put some plants around it in the same way I did the tree in the front. And I believe at this point the landscaping in the front of the house is pretty much done. Yeah, it is, other than maybe going back and adding a few touches. But right here off of the deck off the dining room, I wanted to create an outdoor eating area, so I just put that stone patio right there, right at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm putting some plants around it. And I did decide to change it to this rock because I wasn't really a huge fan of how that rock looked. And then I also stuck a little tree in there as well. And I did use 2 of the picnic tables that came with the game pack, and then I just put them right up to each other so it looked like they were joined together into one really large picnic table. So I really like how this little eating area looked. And then I did want to put 2 lamps right there, or 2 of the outdoor lamps right there to give some nice lighting to it. So I really like how those lights look. And then I did want to add some of the decorative items right there. So I put that little thing that has ketchup and mustard, and then that little bucket with some pans and stuff in it. And then I did go back to tweak a few things in the front yard. But right now I'm working on another seating area right there in front of that tree. But when I was doing the backyard, part of why I kept things a bit more open and didn't fill it in with a ton of trees is that I wanted to make sure I didn't obstruct the view from the great room towards the lake. Because realistically, you wouldn't want to have this beautiful view from this 2-floor room and then just have it blocked by a big old tree. So I did just make sure to keep the path in front of that clear. So there's only 2 trees in the backyard there. And then I did add a little fire pit, of course, and put those benches around it. So they just snapped in there nicely. And I did put, the basics, a lot of the outdoor activity items that came with this game pack in. And then I was trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to have a dirt path going from that deck there over to the fire pit. And then I ended up just not putting one in because I just wanted to leave it a lot of open grass. And I also put some plants in behind there as well. And I thought about moving near that tree, but then I felt like it would just be a bit better at the end of the lot closer to the lake. And then I did, of course, add in a horseshoe pit. This is a cabin for outdoor retreats, so of course you have to have a horseshoe pit in there. So I just put some dirt in. Then I'm also putting some trees in front of the decks and the grade room area. Of course, making sure, or not trees, bushes and stuff. Of course, like I said, I didn't want to put trees in there, so I just made sure to put in lower lying plants that would not obstruct the view at all. And then I just put a few more plants in there to fill things in, just a little bit. But apart from that, I leave everything else pretty much open, although I did move the horseshoe pit over a little bit, and then I did move all those plants over a little bit as well. But apart from that, that's it as far as the plant life goes in this yard. I did put in the same subtle stone path throughout the backyard that I put in going from the front yard to the backyard, just to fill in some of the empty grass area and add a little bit more detail to the yard. I also shifted the campfire area forward a little bit because it was kind of on the edge of the lot. And now moving on to doing the exterior lighting. So at this point, the exterior of the house is almost done. I got there pretty quickly because, like I said before, this was the landscaping style that's really my strength, so what to do came to me pretty easily. But I did just use those wall lights on most of the exterior. I also put in that hanging light directly in front of the door, so I just made sure all the decks and everything were well lit, and then I added another lamp next to that bench there and put in a lamp in front of that tree. But the exterior is almost done. Oh, I did shift that tree forward a little bit, and then I still do have to furnish the decks and all of that, and then after that the exterior is done. But now I'm just adding a little bit of detail to the terrain paint because I feel like it just needs a little bit more since there's a lot of open grass area. And then now I'm working on this deck here. So I wanted to have a grill out on this deck, so I just put it right there so it kind of overlooks the lake, so as you're grilling you can just look over the top of it and see the beautiful lake. And then I did put that pot and pan decorative item, and then I put those little grilling utensils right there as well. And then I put that bin that had some, I guess, cooking tools in it right there. I feel like that would really work well. And then I did put that little crate that has, I guess, china in it. It looks like that's what it is. And then, also a potted plant. And then now moving on to the deck that is off of the master bedroom. So I didn't put a whole lot on this deck. I just put those 2 chairs right there, and then that's about it. Now moving over to the front deck, so I just put a potted plant, and then I believe a little statue in front of the other window. Yes, I did. Oh no, I put the bear gnome there. And then I did want to put some of the outdoorsy type benches right there, so I was trying to figure out how to put those in so that they would look good. So I messed around with using the rock end tables and all of that a little bit, and then I ended up putting in the matching chair right there, and then I put in this end table right here between the 2, and then I ended up just settling on that little stump end table right there, and then I did put this little plant on top of it. So I really like how that looks. And then over right here, I decided to make use of the new chess table that came with the game pack, so I just stuck that right there. And I of course had to use the career item unlocking sheet to get that, because you can only get that if you get a gold medal weenie roast, I believe. But I did also put in the new game table right there on that deck just to fill in some space, so I really do like how that looks in there. It did take me a little bit to figure out what chairs I wanted to use, but I ended up settling on those white chairs there since the white matched the white on the legs of the table, and then I was trying to mess around with rearranging things a little bit and put a couple coolers out, but at this point the exterior of the house is done, so like I said, I got through it pretty quickly in only about 2 hours, which sounds like a lot of time, but for me it actually isn't. But right now I'm starting on the common areas of the interior of the house, and I'm just putting in some columns to look like they're supporting the open area of the house just to add a little bit of detail. And then I ended up using the same rustic floor throughout the house that I use out on the deck because I just wanted to give it a very rustic look. And I found that the Mediterranean light fixtures actually worked perfectly for this house, and oddly enough a lot of the Mediterranean furniture in general worked really well for this cabin type of a build. But, you know, I did, of course, put in a code rack there, and then under the stairs here, since I used the modern ones that didn't have, you know, the wall underneath of them, I just put in a little accent table with a plant on it, and I really like how that looked. And then I originally had kind of a red theme going on with the entrance, and I also stuck that shoe rack under the stairs there, so I think that looks pretty cool. I really like that you can do that with those stairs, you know, put things under them. And I did settle on that red rug for the time being, and now moving on to the great room, which is probably my favorite room of this house. I just really love how it looks. But it does, of course, have a fireplace, as you can see right there, and then I put the TV over it, but then I decided to make a bumped out area to have it kind of be like a chimney, even though the chimney's on the outside. And for the lighting, I was going to use those chandeliers, but I ended up using the Mediterranean lighting that you see there. And then I did want to use the couches and chairs that came with the game pack, but there wasn't a living chair that came with the game pack. It was just dining chairs, so I just put some of those dining chairs in there as well, and then used the end tables and lamps. So I just put on one side of the couch, it's an end table with a lamp on, and the other side I used the floor lamp, and then I also used the new rug that came with it, which I think is really cute, and I wanted to give this room a blue theme. So I ended up using a mix of the plaid blue color that you see here with the solid blue, just to give a little bit of variety so everything didn't perfectly match. And then I did put that little Stanley the Jackalope statue on the end table right there. And I, of course, only put curtains on the top floor windows because I felt like it wouldn't make sense to have them on the bottom floor windows, since it's kind of like they're joined windows in a way, I guess. Although I guess those curtains would have to be electric because there's no way you can get up there to pull them down. But for the interior in here, I did use that wood paneling, and then I put stone on the fireplace there just to give the look of a stone chimney. The interior of this house in general has a lot of dark and rich wood colors in it, just to go with that whole rustic theme that it has. And beside the fireplaces, I did put those 2 bookshelves because I wasn't sure what to do there, so I thought adding some nice bookshelves would look good. And then I also did add the shelf that came with the game pack in there as well. And the room was a little bit dim, so to add some extra lighting to it, I just moved up that oil lantern kind of looking lamp onto the shelves, which I thought was a nice touch, and it was a good way to light the room, because it was just very dim, especially compared to the second floor area, which had the 3 ceiling lamps in it. So I was trying to make the bottom floor as bright as the upper floor, and I had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what to put on the wall right there, the one with the windows, because I felt like I needed something there, but at the same time I was trying not to make the living room look too busy. And then I decided to change the chairs there to Mediterranean themed ones because I felt like the dining chairs were a little bit too tall, like they just didn't look right in there, and then I kind of wanted to use them in the dining room, so I felt like the lower Mediterranean chairs that were actually living chairs would look a bit better. And then I was trying to add an accent table behind the couch, but then it was a little bit too busy, so I ended up just putting it over there against the window, and that's what I decided to use to fill in that space there. So then now I'm just putting in some decorative items and all of that on it. Then I thought that maybe I could take a rug and move it up and put it on top of the accent table, but that didn't exactly work. Rugs get a little bit glitchy when you raise them up, just so you guys know. So that doesn't work. You kind of have to keep the rugs down a lower level. And then I wanted to break up the woods that were in this room because I felt like having the wood paneling everywhere was just really dark looking. So then I added in this bright green wallpaper on the wall that had the windows on it, which I felt really brightened and freshened up the interior of this house. Because originally I was just going to use the wood paneling everywhere in the house, but then I was like, you know, that would just get a little bit boring, it would get a little bit dark and dingy looking. So throughout the house I did use different colors of plaster, bright plaster, to just make the place look a little bit brighter, to kind of counter the darker woods, because, you know, if you have darker woods everywhere, it does make the place look very dark and sort of depressing. And at this point I was trying to mix up the decorations in this room because I felt like what I had looked a little bit too busy. Like, I wanted this room to look well decorated, but then I just didn't want to look crazy with decorations everywhere. And I was trying not to use too many plants, so instead of having a plant on the end table near the door, I put that little ship, which I thought worked really well and fit in with the room. And then I also added that bright green wallpaper to the one wall that you see over there in the kitchen/dining room area, just to keep things a bit bright. And now I'm now I'm working on the wallpaper in the rest of the main area. So now I'm moving on to the kitchen of the house. So this whole area over here is just an open kitchen/dining room, and then I was figuring out whether I wanted those two fireplaces to match or look different, but I ended up making them look different because the same color didn't look good in both places. But for the kitchen, I wanted to have a counter island with the columns going through it, since the new columns actually match the color of the cabinets perfectly. So that worked really well, and then I wanted to have the kitchen, I wanted to look classic, traditional, but at the same time have modern amenities, like not look like a crappy kitchen. I just wanted to look like a very high-end kitchen. Like the kind of kitchen someone would really want to have in their own house. And I was originally gonna have double sinks under those windows, but then 2 sinks was a little much, so I just went with 1 sink. And then I had some trouble figuring out what kind of window covering I wanted to use, so I ended up just putting 3 of those together so it would look like one curtain, because I didn't like how it looked with it being 2 separate curtains. I also went back and forth a lot on what color I wanted the appliances in the kitchen to be, because I felt like white was too plain, not fancy enough, and then black just didn't really match that well. But I think in the end I settled on the white appliances that you see here. Now I'm just adding in the details and decorations and all of that. So you've got a coffee machine and some coffee mugs next to it, you got a microwave, just a lot of amenities. And then I also tried moving objects up on top of the fridge itself, which isn't something that I've tried before, but it is a very realistic thing to do, because I know personally I've got a ton of stuff stacked up on top of my fridge. Like, I just stick like bags of potatoes and a crock pot and stuff like that right on top of my fridge because I don't know where else to put it. And originally I was going to have a tile backsplash in the kitchen, but then I didn't quite like how it looked, so I do go ahead and change that to being just stone wall, and I really liked how that looked. Like, it just fit in so well with the theme of this cabin. I also put in a different kind of tile, like that rock tile that you see there in the kitchen as well, which I feel perfectly fits in with the theme of it. And then I did want to change the rug and the coloring that I had in the entrance area, because I felt like the red didn't go that well with the blue in the living area, so I just changed it to more of a neutral white theme, which I do think looks a little bit better. Now I'm going back to the kitchen to add the finishing touches to it, specifically the bar stools, and then I was trying to figure out what kind of decoration I wanted to put on the counter island there, so I settled on a bowl of fruit because I didn't want to put a plant in, because I figured a plant might be too much, so I figured that was the perfect decoration. I also put in that little blackboard there, or chalkboard there, kind of like the family could just write their grocery list or meal plans up there or something like that. But at this point the kitchen is done, so I'm moving on to the dining room of the house, which isn't very big. It's just that little area right there in front of the fireplace, but I just put that table in there and then put a bunch of chairs around it. So at first I used the dining chairs that came with the Outdoor Retreat game pack, but then I ended up changing them to the Mediterranean ones because I felt like, given the smaller space of this dining room, those chairs were just a little bit too big. Like, you need something that had a little bit of a lower back, so I feel like those really fit in there a bit better. It might be kind of a tight fit in front of the fireplace, but the Sims can get through there fine and everything, as you'll see in the showcase part of this video. But now moving over to decorating this area right here where this china cabinet was. So I was trying to figure out what to do as far as putting paintings around and everything, and then I also want to try putting objects on top of it. So I ended up just putting this plant right here on top of it, and those 2 smaller plants beside it. And there's also another Stanley the Jackalope statue there, although I think I took out the other one, so that's the only one in that area. Right now I'm moving on to the half bathroom of this house, which is rather small. It's only a 2x2 room, but then again, half bathrooms don't really need to be that big, so it's fine. So I just used the same stone tile in this bathroom as well. I felt like that stone tile just fit in perfectly with this theme of house, like just fit in better than regular tile that you would see in most bathrooms. I also made use of the new mirror and sink that came with the game pack. I really like how they look. Like, they're just so nice for a rustic bathroom like this. And then I did try changing up the color scheme that was in this bathroom from red to being a blue. So at this point the bathroom is done, so now moving on to the study. It might seem kind of strange to have a study with a computer and all of that in a rental house, but my thought behind this place was that it was more of a home that like one family owns and they just live at for the summer, like for a few months at a time. So that's why, you've got a computer in here, and there's also some other personal touches throughout the house. Also, I did this with the Mayberry family for my outdoor retreat Let's Play in mind, because the whole story behind them is that they're traveling nature documenters and they run a nature website, so I figured they'd want to have a computer to, write up posts for their website and all of that stuff, and, edit videos and that kind of a thing from. So I could see them being the kind of people who'd bring like a whole desktop, although I guess realistically you would have a laptop, but unfortunately there's no laptops in this game, or else I would have put a laptop in there. And also for their one of their daughters needs to practice typing for her aspirations, so I wanted to have a computer in here for her to be able to do that so she could actually move forward in her aspiration. And I just use a lot of the Mediterranean themed furniture as with the rest of the house, and with this whole house in general I used a lot of more neutral, natural kind of colors like blues and greens and reds and browns, just very nature-like colors. But I ended up taking out the windows that were along the back wall because I felt like it was too many windows and it was a little bit busy with all the curtains. And then I thought it'd be kind of neat to have this sort of hutch or cabinet type thing behind the desk, so I just used the kitchen cabinets to kind of set up a bunch of drawers like that they might store stuff in, although I guess that's kind of a lot of space for a family, a lot of storage space for a family who might be there for only a couple months at a time. But I was trying to figure out what I wanted to put in back there as far as paintings go, so I tried out a bunch of different paintings, and then I also put a bunch of decorations up on top of the cabinets as well. And I was thinking about adding carpet in, but then I ended up just sticking with the wood that you have there. And I put a blue rug underneath of it. I also put in that Mediterranean type lamp there, and that little wine bottle item that you get from having a gold medal date. For some reason I felt like that might fit into an office. I also changed up the chair that was in that corner there to the nicer black one that was unlocked from, I believe it was the business career. But at this point I'm finished with the office, so now I'm moving on to putting some wallpaper up in the upstairs landing area. Although I'm not going to move on to furnishing the upstairs just yet, I just wanted to do that really quickly before furnishing the master bedroom of the house. So I did use a mix of the wood paneling and the bright green wallpaper. But now moving on to the master bedroom, so I used the Mediterranean rustic kind of bed, since that did have a lot of bedspreads for it that fit in with a cabin theme perfectly. So I originally had it over on this wall, but then I changed it over this one because this is a bigger wall and I could center it in the whole room, so I felt like it would just look a bit better over there. I was originally going to have the log wallpaper there on the wall with the door, and then I originally had it red as well, but then I changed that to be that lighter color there. And then I was trying out a few other colors because I felt like that was a little bit plain. So I ended up settling on this very light yellow color, and then I changed the bed to be that blue and green plaid, which I saw that and I really liked it. I hadn't used that color before, so I figured I just had to use it. And I was playing with some other accent wall colors in there as well, and then I also put in that large plant near the door. But in the end, I just kept all the walls in that room that light yellow color because I felt like, given that this wasn't a very big room, that it didn't really need an accent wall. I also put a large TV right across from the bed. So every bedroom in this house does have a TV. Like, this is definitely a very luxurious cabin. Right now I'm furnishing the dresser area, so I just once again used the Mediterranean dresser. I don't believe I used any of the new furniture in this room, just because I wanted this room to look a little higher end, and I felt like the Mediterranean furniture looked a little bit nicer than the more rustic furniture. But I did use the 2 double beds, well, other than the air mattress one. I used the 2 nicer double beds that came with the game pack in 2 of the other bedrooms. I also did use that nice little divider there in that corner because I wasn't sure what to put in that corner of the room, and then I found that divider item, which I never use, so I was like, you know what, I'll just use this item, just give this item a try. And then that painting was the last item that I put into the master bedroom, so now it's done, and I'm moving on to the master bathroom. So this bathroom is, of course, the biggest bathroom in the house, definitely far bigger than the other 2 full bathrooms. And I did think about adding a coffee table at the foot of the bed, but there just wasn't enough space for that, so I didn't. But this bathroom has both a shower and a nice large corner tub. I just wanted to make it look very luxurious, but then at the same time keeping up with the rustic theme of the rest of the house. So I just made a double sink and then put the large mirrors behind it. I also used that same rock tile in here as well. And originally I had the counters a white color, but I do go ahead and change it to be a darker color in a little bit. I also used that log wallpaper in the bathroom, and then I changed the counters to be a darker color, which actually matched the log color perfectly. But I just wanted this bathroom to have a very, very rustic look, and I really do like that rustic shower that you see there. I think I use that in all the other bathrooms, and then right there I put a plant, and then I put in that little wine bottle item because I felt like that was a nice romantic item to add into the master bathroom. I also added in some candles on top of the corner tub, and then a shelf above it with a rose on it. I was just kind of trying to give that area of the bathroom a very romantic look, and I also added some books, you know, so they kind of be like books they would grab while they soak in the tub. And then above the toilet, I stuck that shelf there with a few towels on it, so I just kept the towels brown just to keep them a nice neutral color to match with the bathroom. And then I put that plant there, made it green, and added a sunflower painting on the wall right there. I had a little bit of trouble when it came to figuring out what rugs I wanted to use in this bathroom. Like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have one both in front of the sink and in front of the tub. So I ended up just having one in front of the sink, and left it at that. But this little room right here that I'm working on is supposed to be a large walk-in closet. So I used those French doors there because I thought it'd be a nice touch, and it just really fits in with the whole rustic theme, kind of like its doors going outdoors, but, you know, it's just going into another indoor space. So it just looks really nice and fits in very well with that bathroom. But all that I really put in here was the hanging clothes items and the shoe racks, and then I put in a mirror with a plant next to it. So there's not really a whole lot in there, but I actually do like how that walk-in closet looks. But now I'm adding some paintings to the second floor portion of that room, and I didn't want to add paintings to every wall because I didn't want things to get too busy, so I just added a couple in there. And now I'm furnishing the landing area of this room, so I put some wall lights in there to light the area, and put in an accent table with Stanley the Jackalope on it, and that flower right there, and then another painting there. So that's about it. I didn't want to put too much into that area. But now I'm furnishing the first of the upstairs bedrooms that I furnish. This bedroom's supposed to be more of a teen bedroom. Like, when I put the Mayberries into this cabin, this will probably be the bedroom that Cliff sleeps in rather than the other master bedroom. Just because this has more of, this bedroom just says more of a teen room to me, because you've got that bedspread right there with some swirls on it rather than the plaid. So yeah, I just feel like it has more of a fun kind of a look to it. And then I also use those plant table lamps, which I really do like. And then I did use yellow wallpaper because, you know, yellow's, or not yellow, orange. I used orange wallpaper because orange is, of course, the complementary color to blue, so I felt like it would look really nice in there. And then I used the mirror that came with Outdoor Retreat above the bed, and then put a shelf underneath of it to fill in the space between the bed and that mirror, and then put some objects on top of it. So in this room, I did use one of the double beds that came with the game pack, the more rustic looking one, which I really do like that bed. I'm kind of, I don't really like the branch bed as much. I find it's a little bit harder to use, and as you'll see when I get to the room that has it in it, I'm not really that pleased with the color choices. But I did put a TV in this room, of course, but I just used a smaller flat screen TV, so it doesn't have quite as nice of a TV as the actual master bedrooms do, because the other master bedroom has a larger TV in it. And then I did stick a plant in that corner there, and on this wall I added in a dresser, and I of course used the dresser that came with the game pack. And something I noticed, like a little detail I noticed about this dresser, is that it slightly dips in the middle, I believe it does. So I just thought that was a really nice little detail. And then, you know, I'm just adding some little knickknacks on it, like some cologne bottles and men's skincare items in there. And I did change the curtains to be the blue ones, and then made them a little bit larger, so it wasn't quite so busy with 4 different curtains in there. And then I did put in these 2 paintings on those walls, on that wall there, to fill it in a little bit. And then on this wall here, I wanted to put in a desk and a bookshelf to make this sort of a study area where someone can just sit down and read, or maybe do a little bit of writing. I didn't put a computer on this desk because I wanted the computer in the study downstairs to be the only computer that was in this cabin. I didn't want it to have technology everywhere, even though every room does have its own TV, but I guess that's different than having a computer. But that is about it for this room, other than putting a hamper in that corner there. So now moving on to what is the kids' bedroom. So this bedroom just has 2 single beds in it, and I didn't make it super childlike, so you could easily just convert it into another adult or teen bedroom, like if you take out the toys and some of the more childish items. And then I did go back to the other bedroom and move the end tables forward so the curtains weren't clipping through the lamps. So for this bedroom here, I did give the beds a red plaid color because I wanted to give them a more rustic look to keep up with the theme. And I hadn't used that red plaid color before, so I figured it'd be good to use it. And then I put that nice leaf blanket underneath of it. And I did, or not blanket, rug underneath of it, and I did use that rug a few other times in this house since it just fit in with the whole nature theme very well. And then I also put in the small paintings on top of it and try to make them red to blend in. And then this corner here I put a dresser and a mirror above it originally. And then I did, of course, use the red curtains because, you know, they matched in with the red on the beds, and I stuck a few toys throughout, and then that little dinosaur toy right there made him red to keep up with the theme. But then I decided to get rid of the mirror on the wall and put a TV up on that shelf. So this bedroom doesn't have as nice of a TV as the rest of the rooms do. It just has that smaller, I guess that's like a CRT television. I guess CRT was used in monitors. I don't think that's what was used in TVs. No, I think that was what was used in TVs. Anyway, I also put in some wall stickers as well. I put in some rabbits and some clouds just to give them, you know, more nature feel to that room. And then since I took out the wall mirror, I did add in the rustic floor mirror there as well. And then I managed to fit in a teddy bear in that corner. And I was trying to put in that toy chest, but then it just didn't really fit in with the rest of the room. And then I did change the wallpaper to be a little bit different. And then I did add in some toys next to the bed just to replace the toy chest that I took out. So now moving on to the bathroom that is for both the teen room and the kid room, since, you know, they don't have their own bathroom. However, since we are getting to the last few minutes of the building part of this video, I did want to talk about how to download this house quickly, so I'm not rushing to do it at the very end. So I will have a download link in the description below in case you want to download it off of the Sims Gallery website. And if you want to find it in-game, you can find it by searching for my Origin ID, which is TheTidesChanging, and then finding it on my profile. Or you can search for the house name, which once again is Hemlock Haven. Or you can also search for hashtag TheTidesChanging. Using the hashtag, or, you know, hashtag the TidesChanging hashtag is another good way to find my houses, since, you know, if you search that, all my houses will come up. And there will also be some other hashtags for the house, but that's the easiest way to find this house. But now I'm going to get back to what's going on with the video. So now moving on to the master bedroom, or the second master bedroom. And this is the last room to do in the house. So like I said, I did use the other nicer double bed in this room. Although I'm not quite as fond of this one. Like, I'm just not that pleased with the color choices because there's only 3 of them. So you either have this plain beige blanket, or I think there's green or blue. And I didn't want to use green and blue because I've used green and blue so much in this house already. So I decided to just use the beige one. I also put some shelves up above the bed and add some decorations to them, you know, put the end tables with those branch lights on them. And then, like I said, this bedroom does have another nice TV in it. And I had a little bit of trouble when it came to picking out the rug for this room. And then I added another large plant next to the TV, and then that nice little painting up above it. And then, of course, you know, you have a dresser and mirror in there as well. So that's pretty much it for the furnishing in this room. Like, it isn't a very big room, so I wasn't really able to put a whole lot in it. But I did change the rug to be that Mediterranean one, which worked really well for this house. And then I did go ahead and change the rug in the kids' bedroom to be this one here, because I remembered that, you know, there was that rug and I felt like it would look better than what I had in there. But I did change the wall in this room to be red and then change the curtains to be beige because I felt like it was just too much beige and it was very boring. It also tied in nicely with the rug, but now I'm working on the walk-in closet for this room, so only the master bedrooms have closets, but I did the same thing with this room where I had the 2 French doors going into it, and now I'm working on the bathroom for this bedroom, which is smaller than the other 2 bedrooms in this house. Like, this is definitely not as nice of a master suite, but it's still pretty nice. You know, it's still nice to have a room with its own bathroom in it. And I just use the same type of furniture in this room, you know, in this bathroom that I did use in the other ones, you know, just kept up with the whole rustic theme. Although I did use the 2 stone sinks in here instead of the counters with sinks placed in them, because I hadn't used those in this house, so I thought it would be fun to use it in this bathroom. But I am nearing the end of the building part of this video, so I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video.